In this presentation, I'm going to be speaking about the recovery of fragmented photographs using Adroit forensics. Now, what is the importance of fragmented photographs and why is it necessary for us to be able to recover them? Studies have shown that on an average, 16 to 20% of photos on a given hard drive are going to be fragmented. And every additional picture that we can recover contains potential suspects, potential leads, potential victims. So it becomes crucial for us to be able to recover those photos that might be of a high forensic value. Now we have a technology called smart carving that automatically recovers fragmented photographs. Now let's take a look at these 7 photographs and what makes them special. It is to be noted that if we did not use smart carving, then we will not be able to successfully recover these 7 photographs. And let's take a look at it. I'm in the photo viewer, the file details tab, and let's take a look at what happened now. This photo was deleted. It was recovered using the smart carving technology, and this photo has 4 fragments. Now, each of these fragments have each of these cluster ranges form the fragments that belong to the picture, and there are 4 fragments. To give you a better idea of what they are, these are the 4 fragments that are part of this picture, and I'm going to select the first fragment as part of the cluster mapping. We are mapping the portion that has been selected in yellow at the top portion of the picture belongs to the first fragment. The data in the clusters 14,965 to 15,326 are mapped to the top portion of this photograph. Now, if you were to not have smart carving, then this is all the data that you'd end up with and nothing else to go below. To make more sense of it, if this were to be the face of a child, then all you'll end up with is the forehead portion and nothing else to go with it. Now, what smart carving has achieved here is it has identified the different fragments that belong to this picture, and it has put them together in the correct order. It is more like solving a jigsaw puzzle, but with automatic recovery of all the photographs, the Adroit forensics has technically solved 7 jigsaw puzzles simultaneously in order to successfully recover these photographs. Now, if we take a look at this picture, it has 2 fragments, and let's take a look at this photograph. This photograph also happens to have 2 fragments. Each of these photographs have been validated. By validated, we mean that as the files were being recovered, as the blocks were being grouped together, this file was also decoded and verified by the decoder, and it is deemed to be in the correct format. So if there were any missing clusters, if the data was corrupt, the error would be identified immediately and smart carving will not proceed. For smart carving to be successful, we need all the data to be present on the drive and to be in valid format. The different fragments would be identified and reassembled together to form the correct picture. 95% of the time, smart carving is going to get the correct photographs, correct and validated photographs. But in some cases, it is going to happen that even after smart carving has been performed, we are going to end up with photos that have been incorrectly reassembled, like these 2, or the smart carving algorithm stopped recovery at this point and we don't know how to proceed. But this is not the end of the line. If you really want to recover this photograph, we can take it to the next level. Now, if this file has a high forensic value, we can allow the user to try and guide the software in order to recover this photograph. And this is possible if and only if the block still exists, and we can try to recover it once more. Now, the user has to identify the first point of error, and he has to visually verify at every point of recovery. Let's see what we can do from that. I am going to locate the first potential error, and it so happens the error is pointed to me at the bottom right hand side of the screen here. Let's take a look at it in 100%. I'm zooming in, and I'm going to click away from the picture. So what we see is at this point in the right hand side is where the error seems to appear for the first time, and these blocks clearly do not belong to the upper portion of the photograph. So I'm going to assume that this is the first point of error, and I'm going to tell the software that this particular cluster does not belong to the rest of the image, and I'm asking the software to disregard this cluster and choose from the remaining set of blocks and redo the carving. In essence, the software is rebuilding the photograph using the data that is available. And let's take a look at what happened. The photo was successfully recovered and it was validated. And let's see why, what was the cause of the error. So this photograph also has 4 fragments, and if we look closely, the third fragment happened to start at 59,000 and the fourth fragment is at 38,000. So there is a level of backward fragmentation that is seen in this drive. As a photo has been successfully recovered through the guided carving method, it gets moved to the guided carve tab away from the partially carved tab because it's now successfully recovered and it has been validated. Let's take a look at the next picture. Once again, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to visually identify which is the first point of error where it seems to be here that it stops belonging to the rest of the image. I'm going to say split and start, and right now the software is looking at the available blocks in the device and it's trying to reconstruct the disk image. Even though we are able to recover these photographs, it becomes harder to justify in court. So this is more from a perspective of gathering more evidence, and there is a method to do that. This photo was also successfully carved. Now, in all the cases, what we have noticed so far is that we identified the first point of error, and we found a piece that does not belong to the rest of the image, and we asked the software to automatically choose the next block. But if we look at this particular photograph here, what happens is that the software has stopped recovering after this particular point. So what we need to do is instead of automatically asking the software to choose it, the user has to choose what should be the next cluster. So are we going to have to look through the drive in order to find the next fragment? No. The software is going to provide us a list of options, best matches that have been ordered in a list, which tells us as to which should be the next potential cluster to go with it. I'm just going to increase the number of clusters that get added. So, and I'm going to push this to 100%. So the software is suggesting from the list of options, what I can see, according to Adroit, the next best match should be cluster number 54,417. I am not going to choose the first cluster as suggested to me by the software, and I'm going to select something else. Let's see what happens at this point. I'm going to be going down, and we see that there is a clear mismatch here, and this cluster does not belong here. What about something else? Let's take a look at what's happening here. It clearly does not belong, and this has been corrupted recovery. So right now I'm going to go ahead and choose the option provided to me by the software, and let's see what happens. When I look down here, what I see is that it's definitely a match, and that is the right cluster, and I'm going to say accept and start. In certain cases, one iteration of smart carving guided carving may not be sufficient, and we might have to uh, provide a second iteration. And here we go back and we identify that this is the first point of error, but here I can just say split and start, and the photo will be reconstructed. Now this photo is also fully recovered and hence validated, and this also happens to have 4 fragments, where if you look closely, the first fragment is at 51,000, whereas the second fragment goes way back at 16,775. This photograph also gets moved to guided cards. So these photographs, the 7 under the Smart Card tab and the 3 under the Guided Card tab, would only be recovered through Adroit Full Forensics. Thank you.